Hey guys, so for today's video I'm at Kuringai National Park, which is just an hour north of Sydney, and I'm going to do some bushwalking and look for some Aboriginal rock art, which is supposedly thousands of years old. As well as that, I'm also going to answer the question that I said I would a couple of months back, why I, as a traditional Kung Fu practitioner, have decided to start practicing Brazilian Jiujitsu. Honestly, the answer's pretty simple. And it's nothing to do with any deficiencies in Kung Fu training or thinking it's superior in any way to traditional martial arts. Honestly, it's just after having done Kung Fu for almost 15 years now, it's just a case of wanting to do something completely different to anything I've done before. And really, I think it was just a natural progression in my own development as a martial artist to just want to try something completely new. Like, I've never really done ground fighting before, so it was something that has been quite uncomfortable for me. So I just took it as a challenge for myself. And I sort of feel that it's been something that's really helped me to feel more in the moment, because, you know, having done Kung Fu for so long, it's quite easy to just go into autopilot when you're practicing and not necessarily be as present. But Jiu-Jitsu, because it's so difficult and so new, it completely forces me to be absolutely in the present. I mean, when you're learning a technique and then you're drilling it, there's just so much to think about that your mind just can't be anywhere else at all. And when you're rolling, it's exactly the same thing. If your mind's not 100% there, you're going to get completely smashed. So I feel that, you know, maybe maybe I'd sort of plateaued in my Kung Fu training, and this provided me a new challenge. Honestly, I think that's probably the biggest part of it. A few weeks back I got my first stripe, and now I've got to the stage where I'm actually beginning to really be able to apply techniques in Jiu-Jitsu, you know, to actually really get positions, get submissions, and, you know, to be able to escape from bad positions and learning how to go with the flow. And I've also started doing a bit of stand-up grappling. Now, the stand-up grappling's had a lot of crossover with Mantis, so that's been something that's been really nice, because it's helped me think about my Mantis techniques sort of in a slightly different way. I mean, I know there's a grappling aspect to Mantis, but it's not a grappling style. So, you know, working out how to adapt a lot of the hand techniques, the hooking and things like that, to a pure grappling situation, and also where the opponent's acting quite differently, you know, to striking sparring is also quite an interesting thing, and been helping me to look at my Mantis in a new and different way. And then the other interesting thing is when you're rolling on the ground, you know, there's a lot of talk in traditional martial arts about, you know, don't use strength, use softness to overcome hardness, 4 ounces, repel 1,000 pounds, all of these sort of phrases. But honestly, I've found that through doing Jiu-Jitsu and groundwork in particular, I've found that those, while they're not necessarily something that's sort of obsessed over and constantly talked about in Jiu-Jitsu, it's something you're kind of really forced to do. Because it's really like, especially as a white belt, you use a lot of strength, a lot of brute force, you really gas yourself out, you're trying to muscle your way in and out of everything. And then it's quite hard to survive multiple rounds of rolling. But once you learn to let go of that, you're sort of, without really talking about it and without really putting fancy terminology and poetic language on it, you are actually utilizing those principles in a real way. You have to use softness to overcome hardness. You have to use, 4 ounces to repel 1,000 pounds and things like that. Otherwise, you're just not going to survive. So one thing I'll say as well is that I have to admit that previously I was very close-minded in that I was very much a Puritan traditional martial artist. Traditional martial arts are the only way to do things. And I think, my views have changed quite a lot now. That being said, I still believe that traditional martial arts are traditional martial arts and modern martial arts are modern martial arts. And I don't really think the two complement each other, but I still think they should be kept as separate practices in their entirety, because they provide different benefits, there's different motivations for training, and I feel when you do try and mix them together too much, you sort of lose something. Well, it looks like this is where the rock art is. So this is the cave, or the shelter I should say, where the hand prints are. So as it says, a lot of the handprints are quite hard to see, and it's saying that the ones here may be up to 2,000 years old. So you can see one there quite clearly. What's fascinating is there are similar sorts of handprints in caves throughout, as the sign said, throughout Europe up to 30,000 years ago, and all over the world you've got the exact same form of art in the exact same sort of cave shelters, so this would have been where Aboriginal people would have come to rest and eat and whatever. But it's hard to fathom, looking at these handprints, like how different their life would have been from ours and how much their life was changed by the arrival of the British. There's another handprint there if you can see. It's a bit fainter, that one. I think there's another one there, maybe like a small one, like a child's one. It's quite amazing as well that all of this is only like 1 hour from the centre of Sydney, one of the global cities of the world. There's another one there, or 2 there, but then they're not very clear. And then through the trees you can see the Pacific Ocean to an extent, and you can see a little bit of Palm Beach just through the trees slightly. Palm Beach is where they filmed Home and Away back in the 90s, a cheesy soap about lifeguards and stuff. It's quite amazing as well to think that people here thousands of years ago were sat in this exact shelter and they had this exact same view of the sea. Obviously Palm Beach and the development and stuff wasn't there, but they had pretty much the same view while they're sat there roasting up a wallaby or whatever. One other thing I should add to this as well is, while I've been talking about Jiu-Jitsu and what I've got from that and why I like it, I have also been training Muay Thai. I'm focusing more on Jiu-Jitsu, but I'm also doing Muay Thai sort of a couple of times a week, and that I'll save that for a separate video. I think I'll wait till I've got a little bit better at it and a little bit more familiar with it before I share my thoughts on that.